I walked through the kitchen and found myself in a small room. There was a huge clock on the wall. You know, who strike every hour as many times as the time clock is now. They looked very old, and the stilts on them were some kind of smoked. Also in this room I saw a table on which some rags were lying, stained with either earth or something else. The room was in a terrible state. Wallpaper was falling off the walls, the ceiling was covered in streaks, and the whole room was a terrible sight, and there was smeared dry dirt on the floor. There was a spring bed next to the table. Her headboard was very rusty, which suggested that no one lives in this house at all. No one would sleep in such an old bed. No one but me. The dream came quite unexpectedly. Still, lack of sleep for the whole working week, plus I've been on the road for more than 5 hours. Yes, these 30 kilometers to the dacha turned out to be much longer. Without much ceremony, realizing that this house is most likely abandoned and the owners will not come, I sat down on the bed, absolutely not afraid that it will fall apart and I will collapse to the floor, breaking through the rotten boards and fall into the basement. I wonder if there is any cellar here. So, well, the bed didn't crumble, a good sign. Having put a purse for myself instead of a pillow, I closed my eyes and fell asleep unnoticed. The fear somehow disappeared completely. I woke up from an extraneous sound. It was as if someone was walking around the kitchen, and the floor creaked disgustingly under the footsteps of the walking. Opening my eyes and trying to figure out what I was doing here at all, I sat down on the bed and shouted, "Is anyone here?" The footsteps stopped. There's clearly someone there. I got out of bed and went to the kitchen. There is no one. Turned on the flashlight on the phone. The floor was covered in fresh dirt. What is it? What's going around so dirty at night? And where did it go? The thoughts in my head began to get confused with fear. Turning to the exit from the kitchen, I saw a tall shadow flash into the room. I'm running there. Mud again. It led towards a small trapdoor on the floor. How did I not see him right away when I came into this room? Well, to climb there or whatever, I haven't fought with any evil spirits yet. I sat down on the bed and started thinking about what to do next. I'm unlikely to be able to sleep anymore. I didn't want to run to the car either. I just dried off, and the rain didn't stop outside at all. I have to go look for adventures on my 5th point. In the purse I felt my old Swiss knife, at least some kind of weapon. However, if it is something otherworldly, then he is unlikely to help me. Gathering my courage, I went to the hatch. Open it? No. What for? What if there's something interesting there? Yeah, for example, some kind of ghoul, that's interesting. Well, do you need to do something? Need. After finishing the argument with myself, I started to open the hatch. His pen was in this very dirt and it smelled so much that I almost saw my lunch today. It smelled like dead meat. This is no longer in any framework. Well, since I got dirty in this, then I need to finish the job to the end. The hatch is open. I shone my phone there. Wooden steps going deep into the darkness, and nothing else is visible. Cloths. To descend into the unknown. Then I noticed that 5% of the charge remained on the phone. So, then I quickly go down, look around, send the evil spirits to the next world and go to sleep. Sounds like a plan. I had just bent down to start going down, when suddenly something pushed me from behind and I fell headlong down. Silence. Pain in the head. I'm lying on something hard and unpleasant. Feeling with my fingers, I realized that it was something porous and hard. A bone. It's a bone. Instantly jumping up and illuminating everything around me with a flashlight, I found that the entire basement floor was strewn with bones and human skulls. I was just speechless with fear. Where am I? Who pushed me? How to get out of here? While my thoughts were sluggishly digesting after the blow in my head, something stirred in the corner. There was something sitting and eating, judging by the slurping sounds. Suddenly, the sound stopped, and it began to rise slowly and was probably 2.5 meters in height. Dry long legs, arms were below the knees, and on the hands of sickle-shaped fingers or claws, it was impossible to make out. The head was extremely toothy. She looked like an elongated gnawed skull. There were no eyes, or I just didn't notice them. This ghoul rushed at me with a heart-rending scream. Dropping the phone, I somehow dodged it and fell. "Get up, get up," I muttered to myself. Instantly turning around, the monster rushed at me again. This time I didn't have time to parry, and a razor-sharp claw slashed across my chest. Pain shot through my whole body, and apparently not only mine. The monster roared and fell next to me. A Swiss knife was sticking out of his chest. "Run, I have to run from here. I definitely don't have a second knife." I jumped up and started to climb the stairs like a bullet, picking up the phone from the floor. Then I heard that this ghoul got to his feet and was already running towards me. With all the strength that I had left, I climbed very steep steps, completely not thinking that under my feet and hands I had earth with rotten dead things. Suddenly, I was dragged down by my leg. It's so good that my shoes are not on laces, but on zippers. Quickly unbuttoning it with one movement, the shoe remained with this bastard and it fell down. I opened the hatch. It's already getting light outside. With a quick movement, taking the purse, I crashed with all my might into the front door, into the one that was locked, hoping that I would knock it to hell. Either I don't weigh enough, or I no longer had the strength to disperse, but the door met me with a thud, and I flew back. The bolt. There's a bolt on the door. I'm a blind fool. Quickly getting up, I ran to the door, removed the bolt, and then I heard a nasty breath behind me. Without looking at what was behind me, I opened the door, flew out of the house, and ran to the car. The rain had already stopped, and fog was spreading on the ground. Getting into the car, I instantly pulled off the handbrake and drove off. I looked in the rearview mirror, and there, only the old cemetery is visible, and there are no houses. And there are about 5 of these terrible creatures standing on the street and looking after me. I finally got to the dacha. My friend saw me in the morning and almost lost the power of speech. A dirty, bloody cut all over his chest, without a shoe, all disheveled. "I've told you everything." A friend looked at me in bewilderment and told me that there was no village there. There's only an ancient cemetery there. Later he remembered that there was a village after all, but it burned down more than 100 years ago. Everyone who lived there died. And they buried all the inhabitants there, on the site of the burned village. Yes, I think we'll go home by another road.